okay?
Yeah.
This is where we live. And what's that?
The fence.
What's inside?
People.
What's outside?
Monsters.
I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, and I fear no evil because I'm blind to it all. In my mind, my gun, they comfort me, because I know I'll kill my enemies when they come. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell on this earth forevermore. Said I walk beside the still waters and they restore my soul, but I can't walk on the path of the right because I'm wrong. No, I can't walk on the path of the right because I'm wrong.
What are you doing, kiddo? You really gonna go through with this?
I'm gonna find, and I'm gonna kill every last one of them.
Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about The Last of Us. We're going to do a quick little review.
Perfect. Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. So you just watched season 1.
I did. I actually was in a hurry to catch up. And so on every single lunch break that I could, I went through and watched like season 1
Yeah.
in like 30-minute increments.
And I basically put a gun to your head and forced you to do it.
Pretty much,
So,
yeah.
Was it worth it?
100%, yeah. So, I mean, I played the games. I've been wanting to play the games for a while, and just recently I finally got access to playing them. And let me tell you, the games, the first game wasn't nearly as like fun to play, but the story's still really good.
Yeah.
But the second game, they definitely upped the gameplay.
Well, I mean, it depends when you played it, right?
Yeah.
Because it was a PS2 game.
Mm-hmm. It was an old one.
So
I think it was PS3.
It was a PS3 game. Still pretty old.
Yeah.
I had a hard time getting through that one because the gameplay is so boring.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you were saying?
Well, I was gonna say I played the remastered version.
Yeah.
On PC.
Yeah.
Not too long ago.
Yeah. I have the same one.
But then part 2 I played on my PlayStation 5, also remastered.
Yeah.
But yeah. So what were you gonna say?
Oh, nothing.
Oh, okay. But regardless, after playing the game and going through the story that way, and you start watching the show, I think this is kind of how it is with everyone. Like if you read a book about a book that got adapted into a movie,
Yeah.
and then you go watch the movie,
Yeah.
you're gonna not like the movie as much as you liked the book. Because there are all these details that you watched first. I genuinely believe it's just because that's what came first. And
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I like this idea. And then when they exclude certain things from it, you're like, that wasn't in the book, or that was in the book and they didn't put it in the movie. And they get mad. And like, I had the same thing with the game, you know? Like, I really liked the game, and then the show came out, and I immediately like started off. I was kind of iffy about it because it didn't start off playing exactly how it was in the game.
Yeah. You said this while watching the first season.
Yeah, I think I was 4 episodes in.
3.
3 episodes in,
Yeah.
and I said that.
Something about episode 3 that
Something
just
about it.
really drug you that whole, like, not book accurate type thing.
Yeah, really did not like episode 3.
Yeah.
No. But the more I watched it and the more the plot progressed, I started to really like the adaptations, and I liked the creative liberties that they used, and they still follow the story. In fact, there are many, many things about the story in the show that are almost one for one in the game. So I ultimately ended up liking it towards the end, and thinking back on it, I was like, well, it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
I liked the beginning. I liked it all. It was just, it wasn't the way I was expecting it to be. And so that's why I had troubles at first. But ultimately, I ended up liking it quite a bit.
Yeah. I mean, it's written by the same guy who made the games. Mm-hmm. So I think that's kind of when it differs for me, is when it's the same creator doing his vision way that he wants to do it.
Yeah.
Because with retrospect, if he could go and do something again,
Yeah.
there's some things you're going to change for sure.
Yeah,
But
that is
I'll-
true.
I'll be entirely honest. I stopped watching after episode 3. Nah, I'm just kidding. But season 1, I really liked. It is the best video game adaptation that they're ever made.
Really?
Oh, yeah. 100%.
I wouldn't be able to think of any others, so I'm going to have to agree.
I mean, there's Halo, but you didn't watch
Oh,
it.
I didn't watch Halo. No.
really bad.
I heard a lot of people say that it was really bad.
There's the Minecraft movie.
Oh, dude, I loved that movie.
Yeah, so anyway, season 1 really did make me enjoy the game more and made me want to play it, but I still haven't finished part 1, so it's going to take a minute.
Yeah. It is disappointing that you know all the stuff that's happening and you still haven't played the games.
Yeah, but I knew that like 5 years ago.
I know. Everyone knew it 5 years ago.
Yeah,
Apparently.
It got leaked, bro.
Yeah, but I didn't.
It literally was on Twitter everywhere.
At that time, for me, I didn't know any of that.
Before the
So,
game
like-
came out, everyone knew Joel was going to die.
Spoilers. No, I mean, obviously spoilers. We're talking about it. No, but
I mean,
that's true.
Joel? I mean, Joe.
Joe Schmo, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that poor character. He
I guess we'll have
died.
to put a spoiler warning up.
Huh?
We'll have to put a spoiler warning up.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just, yeah. I mean, I feel like it's pretty obvious.
No, let's just blast through season 1. So you liked it?
Yeah, I did. I do want to talk about season or episode 3 a little bit because I was a little averted from it because at first I really liked like the first part of the episode. I was really happy about it. I liked it because I wanted to see Bill and Frank. I wanted to see their relationship, which you don't get to see in the game. So I was really excited about that. But towards the end, I started getting upset because like I knew that Bill wasn't gonna be able to like meet Joel after Frank dies. Because in the game, Frank kills himself like after running away from Bill, and that shit was heartbreaking in the game, and so I think that's why I was a little like, dang, that's disappointing. I wanted to see Bill's reaction to Joel after Frank has passed away, and I didn't get to see that interaction in the show, but I still think it was. Ultimately, I think it was worth it because I think that seeing their relationship and seeing how lovely it was and the town that they had was kind of like a paradise for them, and knowing Bill is like a what is he called, a survivalist?
Yeah, survivalist.
Was also really cool. Seeing how he went through all the people being round up from the towns to get put into the quarantine zones. seeing him hiding underneath his house and stuff. That was really cool. And he was ultimately unbothered most of the time.
Yeah. I would say my favorite part of the episode is when he goes and turns his power back on.
Like for the electric fence and stuff? Or what do you mean? Like when he goes and
drives
gets all
to the power plant and turns his power back on.
Is that what he does? I thought what he did was he drove to the gas station and then filled up barrels, just absolute barrels, and then used it to power generators.
Yeah, and then he drove to the power plant, stole their fences.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
And
that is pretty
you think about this in like zombie apocalypses and stuff. It's like, why does somebody just turn your water back on?
Right. Well, my thing is that it's like, I don't think it would really work that way because there's no maintenance on the power stations or the water plants. So it's like, sure, you could have water running, but then I think that it would fall apart.
I'm no expert.
Me either.
But they do it in The Walking Dead. So.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, and in Alexandria they have water.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It's not well water.
That's interesting. Yeah, I think that was a fun episode though overall.
Yeah, that is a fun episode. It's funny how many people I suggested to the show, and I'm like, just watch it. It's really good. And then they're like, they watch episode 3 and they're like, but you know, I didn't think I was gonna like it as much as I did, and it was definitely a unique story. I would just say it really ruined the pacing for me at the time because I was watching it week to week, so it was like, I do not give a fuck about Bill. This guy sucks in the game. He sucks in the show. No, I'm just kidding. He doesn't suck in the show. The show he's really good, but
he is an asshole in the game though.
Yeah, I would say that your most standout episode in season 1?
It is now. Yeah, I
Really?
mean, well, I mean, even when I watched it, I was because, like you said, it is a very big change in the pacing, so it really sticks out. I think it sticks out for a lot of people.
Yeah,
because it's like just an entire backstory. But I actually think that Left Behind is my favorite episode.
Yeah, that one's a good one.
By far.
Yeah, I like that one as well.
Yeah, which Left Behind is Ellie and Riley's adventures when they were friends, and Ellie was back in the quarantine zone, and then that's where she gets bit and finds out she's immune. That's a heartbreaking episode as well.
Yeah,
like in the game, it was a DLC that you could play that showed you that story.
Yeah,
and so I just think they ended up doing it really well.
They did it really well. It's cool that they included it. For such a high budget show, they really went for storytelling in the first season. Which, not that they haven't in the second season. But.
Ooh, speaking of something, so did they have a pretty low budget first season?
No.
They had a high budget. So that was my thing, is that they had a high budget, but like you see almost no zombies.
Yep.
Like very minimal zombies. But then they kind of redeemed themselves.
Yeah, later on.
In season 2.
Which we'll get to that. Anything else to say about season 1?
Nothing else to say about season 1.
I will say the last episode of season 1 didn't hit as hard as the game does.
That is true. And the reason why I think that is because it's a little more drawn out, right? So the pacing is way different, but it's like in the game, there's a whole section where you're going to the hospital, and then you fall in the sewers, and and then you get knocked out. Ellie was knocked out because of the something happened in the water. I think she almost drowned or something like that.
Yeah.
And then they bring her in and they start doing all the tests and stuff. Yeah. And then Joel finds out. But then, since it's a game, you kind of get to go through and do all this stuff where you're shooting all the people and fighting to get Ellie back. But in the show, they just kind of like they like muted the sound.
Yeah.
And they just kind of had Joel walking through and strolling by casually and killing all these people.
For me, it was the quick cuts.
Yeah.
Because like they should have. We've been watching a lot of oneers lately. They should have hit a oneer. But
that would have been tough. But that would have been.
It would have been really fucking cool.
That would have been so cool.
But it was the quick cuts of just seeing Joel walking through a hallway shooting people, and then cutting to them getting shot, and then you're like, oh yeah. I mean, it's still devastating.
Yeah.
But it's not the same. But that's all I got. What would you review season 1?
I would have to say I would have to say an 8 clickers out of 10.
8 clickers out of 10. I'll give it a 9.
Yeah. The only reason I give it an 8 is because of there are a few things that I'm more sad that I didn't get to see.
Fair.
Because that last episode, and then there were a few plot devices that they use in the game to move the plot forward that are kind of completely changed, and then kind of it's probably just like a my brain thing because like I'm so used to the game that when I see it different, it doesn't make sense. But it's like the first time I think you really get to see a bunch of clickers or not clickers but zombies is actually when they step on one of the cordyceps trails or whatever they are, and then the horde from the town or from the city comes to the city hall, and Tess is there, and she had been bit. Like
then
that.
She gets her mouth fingered.
Yeah, it wasn't even fingered. It was mouth to mouth. It was so gross.
Really gross. Yeah.
Like I thought that was gross, but cool. I thought that was really cool. But the way they do it in the show or in the game is there are people that are tracking them. It's the quarantine zone people.
Yeah.
Or Fedra. And then that ends up pushing them away, and then Tess had already been bit, and so she's like, I'll stay behind, and then you hear her get shot. And then you have to get out. But yeah, that's my own thing. That's a me thing. But that's why I only gave it an 8, but 8's still pretty high.
Because of Fedra?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which try not to sneeze.
Bless you.
Thanks. I could totally see that. But I think those parts in the game are really frustrating.
Which parts?
When you're sneaking through the city to get away from Fedra and you have to just kill them all. Mm-hmm. Eventually, I just said, fuck it, and I just started fucking killing everything I seen.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I was a little psychopath when I played that game. Because there were many times when you could just leave and not have to kill anything. Yeah. And I was like, nah, I'm going to fucking murk them all. And I waited until every single last one of them were dead. But that also took a lot longer to play.
I've seen you play the second one.
Yeah.
We could go a whole video talking about this guy.
Listen, I watch these other YouTubers play, right? Uh-huh. And they do the same thing that you're clowning on me for. Yeah,
difference is that you just do it in a goofy way.
All right, fair enough.
Maybe it'd be funny to watch.
Yeah, I mean...
No, it's just like the camera angles that you do are just so weird to me.
The camera angles that I do?
Yeah, you walk up to a wall, and then you'll shimmy around the wall, making sure you see every single thing in the room.
Yeah, I'm just making sure, dude. I'm taking in the detail.
You're like fucking Daredevil, dude. You're blind.
Yeah, the game developers put a lot of effort into making the scene look really pretty. I'm just really taking it in. Those walls looked realistic.
They did. They looked really good.
Whatever, man. Let's talk about season 2.
All right, season 2, episode 1. I really wish I didn't say that thing about Joel. Oh well.
We'll cut it out. We'll bleep it.
I'll just put spoilers.
Okay.
Yeah, season 2 I think kicked off pretty well in episode 1. It definitely felt natural to come back from the ending scene on season 1 to going into season 2, and then seeing that kind of rift between Ellie and Joel. Mm-hmm. Seeing Joel go to therapy was pretty neat. Yeah, I would say. The guy's got issues.
Yeah.
And just kind of setting up character dynamics, because Tommy definitely is the lead figure in this whole place, and Joel...
He's one of them. His wife is the other.
After episode 2, I feel like he's the guy.
He is, after episode 2, he is the guy.
Damn. Yeah. So in episode 1, we also get to see, who is it? Dina? Mm-hmm. Dina and Ellie, and they go on a run. What were they going up there for? It was like a scout party.
They're doing a scout party is exactly what it was, yeah.
And we kind of find out that Ellie is a loose cannon on these things. Mm-hmm. And she is exactly like Joel.
Yeah.
She kind of just goes down the beat her own path, so to say. Yeah. And I think your highlight of the episode was the what is it? Jockey?
The chicken jockey?
No, the thing in the store.
Oh, the stalker.
Yeah, there
the
you go.
stalker. Yeah, I did like that because so throughout the first game, they have these things called stalkers, and they're basically clickers, but they like are smart and they sneak around and they're super quiet, but they are looking for you. And so if you make too much noise, they'll like sneak behind you and they'll grab you by the flank, and then they coordinate attacks. So it's terrifying.
Yeah.
But in the show, season 2, this is the first time you get to see a stalker.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool to like bring them back. I was kind of worried that we weren't going to see all these different types of zombies and stuff. But
see, that's the homage to the games that I really like. But the way that they do it in the show, it's kind of cool because they go back to the council or whatever.
yeah,
And they're talking about it, and they're like, yeah, it showed signs of intelligence. And then Tommy's like, well, maybe that's just a one-off.
yeah,
It might just be a one-off. But
Yeah.
if it isn't, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But then, yeah. I'll be honest, I don't remember much of this episode.
So I like this episode because I like Dina. I like the actress who plays Dina.
She looks a lot like the character in the game.
Yeah.
Like, a lot.
Like insanely good.
Yeah.
But I like the actress. I like the game. In the game, I like Dina as well. And I also really like the New Year's celebration because in the game, they kind of start after that part.
Yeah.
And then they do flashbacks to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I like the way that they did it in the show because it was a lot more linear. It's easier to follow.
Oh, definitely.
But it was still really fun because like I know everything that's gonna happen and I'm like, ooh. But there you kind of see, after the whole party, you kind of see Tommy's wife not necessarily stepping into a leader role, but more of like a town mom position.
Yeah.
Right? Where she goes in, she's like, say you're sorry, right? Because what happens in the town or in the New Year's celebration is Ellie and Dina, they're dancing together immediately after Dina and Jesse, her previous lover, split. So while they're dancing, Ellie and Dina are getting all flirtatious, and Dina's all drunk and high, crossfaded out of a mug.
She was.
And then Dina leans in for a kiss, and Ellie doesn't really know how to interpret it at first because she knows that Dina's drunk or high or whatever, and then eventually gives in and starts kissing her back. And one of the old conservative tat comes up and he's like, hey, this is a family event, and gets all mad at him.
Yeah.
And then as they're walking away, he calls him a
fucking dyke.
Yeah, calls him a dyke, and Ellie turns around, gets all mad. Then Joel jumps in, pushes the guy to the side.
Oh, he doesn't just push the guy to the side.
He doesn't punch him.
No, he doesn't just he doesn't punch him either.
No.
He wrecks that guy's shit though.
Yeah, he did throw him pretty hard.
Yeah.
See, in the game, he punches him,
Yeah.
and so when you see him apologize to Ellie, he's got a big old black eye.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so after Joel does that, Ellie gets all mad at Joel. Everyone's really confused because they're like, Joel just defended you, and you guys are supposed to be like father-daughter type stuff. But after that, they go back to their own places, and they end up going out on another scouting mission the next day.
Yeah.
This is in the next episode, so I'm not going to get into that. But that's kind of how the episode ends, is right after that party.
Does it end right there?
I believe so, yeah.
Because then they have the talking about construction and stuff like that, how they need more space, and we talked about this earlier, letting more people in, and yada, 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 but they don't have the space for it or the resources, so Joel's like, maybe it's not such a good idea. And then, for some reason, the episode ends panning to a water pipe that has some little fungies coming out of it.
Yeah. And it's because they're all going to this abandoned house, some abandoned house to celebrate and all that for the New Year. And they have these sparklers, and they drop one next to it, and you can see the fungi coming out. And that, like, seeing that, I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
What's going to happen? Because that immediately strays from the game.
Oh yeah,
Immediately you're like, whoa, that's way different.
completely different. Yeah.
Because you can, like, knowing how they work, you already can see what's going to happen. But yeah, Joel, I like Joel's therapy sessions as well.
Yeah.
But only because I feel like that's exactly how therapy would go in a post-apocalyptic world.
It would, for sure.
Yeah, just like the therapist is like, I'm here to survive, bro. What the fuck are we talking about
That is
here?
not what she said. She literally said, I don't give a fuck about your problems. You killed my husband.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
You're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And then he's like, whatever your issue is, you know what it is already. Stop hiding your bullshit.
See, that I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
Because I think that the therapist thought that Joel probably like sexually assaulted her or something like that. Because the way she was like, tell your truth. Like, tell me, did you hurt her? And he's like,
Yeah.
no. And then but then like, did you hurt her? And he goes, no, I saved her. And it's like, all right, buddy.
Oh,
okay,
that's
bud.
just you, bro. That's just you.
Listen, dude.
Did you hurt her? 100%. Yeah, I could see that. But then after that question, she moves on to like 4 other ones.
That was the end. That was the end of the conversation with
She
them.
had like 2 other questions.
She had them before, though, because when he gets up and he says, no, I saved her. She said, did you hurt her? He said, no, I saved her. And then he gets up and leaves.
Yeah. I think Pedro's acting in that scene was pretty good.
I do, too. It was very nice to see kind of a more human side of Joel.
Yeah.
Because you don't really get to see him processing his own emotions in the game.
Nope. And the first time he tries, he gets told he's a piece of shit. And
Yeah.
everything's his fault. So it's like,
It's a classic
Not-
guy story.
not good therapy.
No. Horrible.
But she was already pretty drunk by the time he showed up.
Yep.
Which he recognized that. Which he's very matured in this 5 years.
Yes.
So I'm excited to see what happens with his story later on this season.
Yeah. I'm really excited to see his character progression go from, the crook that he used to be to then taking over for carting Ellie across America. And then, he's slowly becoming softer because he's got a daughter back or whatever. And I'm excited to see where that goes. Anyways, second episode.
He's credited for 5 episodes.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see how they do that.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, second episode.
No. What would you review the first episode?
First episode, I liked it a lot, especially because of the stalker. I would give it, it kind of strays a lot from the game, so I would give it a 9 though, a 9 clickers out of 10.
A 9?
Actually, 9 stalkers out of 10, because I like it because the way they separate from the game is it's a lot more, I guess, natural for me.
Yeah.
Now. But yeah.
I was going to give it a 9. Not really sure why I dropped it down to an 8.
Oh.
But I did really like it. It was good.
Yeah. Yeah, I really enjoy that episode and the way that it leads in. Because in that episode, I believe you... Oh, no. I think that the last episode of season 1, you get introduced to Abby.
No.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Because after the whole hospital thing, they sit outside the hospital and they talk about it. And then she gives the description, and then you don't see her for episode 1.
You don't see her in season 1.
I swear to God, you do, man.
She wasn't casted till season 2.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
She wasn't casted till season 2.
I swear, dude, I saw her in season 1.
Nah, you didn't. You didn't. But you do open the episode with Abby.
Okay.
Which I thought, we're talking about this episode a lot, but because I guess now that I'm remembering it, when they open the episode, it's them in the hospital, and she's telling someone else not to go into somewhere, or maybe it was her.
It was herself. She was having a nightmare.
Oh, was she?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And she's a stubborn-ass bitch, but
Yeah.
yeah. People are saying this. Would you consider Abby an anti-hero?
Anti-hero? No. I mean, no, because I would consider Joel an anti-hero. Yeah. I think this is kind of how it goes in a lot of apocalyptic scenarios. But it really, really depends on whose story you're following.
For sure.
And so, yeah, from our perspective, she's a villain.
She is 100% a villain at this moment, yeah.
Yeah. And from her perspective, Joel is the villain.
Yeah. But episode 2, you should probably remember your score, by the way.
Yeah?
Yeah.
9?
You'll need them at the end.
What?
You'll need it at the end.
Yeah, I got it. 9.
Yeah. And then so episode 2 kicks off with Ellie and what's his face? And also the cabin.
Yes. Yeah.
We also missed that Abby showed up in the last episode.
Yeah.
To Jackson. Anyway, flash forward, they're in the cabin and Jackson, and they're talking about how Jackson's way bigger than they thought. Mm-hmm. And they're like, fuck this.
Yeah.
This is a terrible idea. Abby, you're a crazy bitch. Like,
Yeah.
we did not do this.
Yeah, and then her main guy is like, I have the beginnings of maybe a somewhat of a plan.
Yeah,
is what he
okay.
tells her, and she's like, good, and then
Yeah.
leaves. And then they're like, do you really have a plan? He goes, yeah, to convince her to get the fuck out. This is not gonna happen.
No. But I thought that was really funny.
Yeah.
And then I think it flashes to Ellie, right? Mm-hmm. And then
She's waking up from the party.
which everyone's been knocking on her door, and it was, what's his name?
Jesse.
Jesse, the Asian guy. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which, by the way, Jesse, favorite character.
Really?
Yeah. So far, yes.
I like his chemistry with Ellie.
Yeah.
They have a good banter.
It really, I like it a lot because I think he kind of knows. I think he's kind of known at this point. So I'm going to bring up the game again, but it's hard not to. In the game, Joel has no clue that Ellie is gay
Yeah.
until that moment in the New Year's party.
Yeah.
Parted. Never mind.
Okay.
I just stifled a sneeze and that sucked.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, because there's a whole dialogue that happens between Ellie and Joel. Where he's like, I had no clue. Like, I'm so sorry, and this and that. And she's like, oh, that's the problem. You didn't know. And it's like that. And it's blah, 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 blah.
I
But-
hate you because I'm gay. And you lied to me.
Yeah, she hates him for a few other reasons. Yeah, I think everyone pretty much knows because she had a history with another one of the girls in the camp.
Yeah.
Her name was Kat, which ended up leading one of the expeditions in episode 1.
Yeah.
But yeah, so everyone knows this kind of chemistry, and there's this thing that keeps getting said. Well, it was kind of different because Dina, when talking to Ellie about her and Jesse,
Yeah.
because they had just broken up again,
Oh, yeah.
and Ellie is like, oh, you guys will get back together again soon, or something like that. And Dina kind of goes, yes, maybe. Yeah, like she's kind of like iffy about it.
Yeah.
And then Ellie is talking to Jesse in the party, and she says the same thing, like, oh, you guys will be back together by the end of the week. And Jesse's like, not this time. And I think it's because Jesse knows that Dina likes Ellie.
Yeah, which he's dogging on Ellie pretty fucking hard about it in the second episode.
Yeah, that conversation was so funny.
It is pretty funny. He's like pissed.
Yeah, well, he's like, he knocks on her door, wakes her up, and he's like, he had a fun time after I left the party last night. And Ellie goes into a whole spiel about, like, she kissed me, and, like, I didn't even know she was drunk. That was just Dina being Dina. It didn't mean anything. And then Jesse's like, wait, you guys kissed? I was talking I was talking about the whole Joel issue. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. And he's like, no, I'm just kidding, I knew.
Yeah. Which, he's a cool character. I thought they were going to pull the rug out underneath us a little bit. Because he kept talking about when they finally go on their trip and the blizzard hits, which whoever the fuck was like, nah, the blizzard's going to stay in the mountains. It's not coming down here.
That was Jesse.
Jesse's
said
a
that.
fucking dumbass.
He is
bro.
a dumbass.
Yeah.
Literally everyone else saw that blizzard and was like, all right, guys, get ready.
Yeah.
Call out to them. Make sure they're coming back.
Fun thing about that blizzard, they filmed that entire episode in a real blizzard.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
It's 100% true.
Because there was a scene, and I remember it very vividly. It was a bird shot view, and there was no snow.
Well, the actor Tommy, he talks about it in the inside the episode later on, and he talks about how they filmed it in a blizzard, and it was like very fucking hard.
Yeah, I can imagine there were actually some scenes that were in a blizzard.
Yeah.
Being in ex-resident of Wyoming, it's not that hard to come by.
Yeah, I don't know if they filmed it in Wyoming, though.
I don't know. Definitely not actually Jackson Hole, but...
I mean, no.
But...
I mean, it's probably a real set, though.
Wyoming has had quite a few movies filmed there.
Yeah.
I don't remember which one it is, but I think it's like The Hateful Eight. I can't remember. It was some sort of old Western movie that was filmed
A
out there.
Tarantino film? That actually sounds right. I know Westerns have been filmed in Wyoming, so...
Yeah, because that's what Wyoming is. They're good old Western.
It's fucking just dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I found fun about the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was filmed in a real blizzard. But yeah, they go up and they go to the 7-Eleven to take shelter, Ellie and Jesse. Mm-hmm. And they find a bunch of weed and all these things. And I guess it was his first partner, the therapist's husband, all this and all that. He was an ex-Firefly. And that's kind of when I was like, maybe they're going to pull the rug underneath us. Because I was like, it really would be an interesting change if they made Jesse a Firefly.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
It would make sense too. But the thing is that the therapist's husband, they talk about it, he quit way before anything happened with Joel.
He was tired of killing people.
Yeah, because he served in Vietnam, I think he said, or it was Afghanistan. It was
He
one
said
of those.
Vietnam, which
Vietnam.
he had to have been old.
Yeah.
Old as fuck. Yeah.
And then something that I did like is that, so this like alludes kind of more to the fact that like Ellie found out. So at the end of season 1, sorry to go back to it, but at the end of season 1, Ellie stops Joel right before they go back to Jackson.
Yeah.
And she's like, tell me that it's true that that's what happened. Because Joel had told her that some raiders had got in there and attacked the place.
Yeah.
And that she wasn't special, and that there were dozens of people who were immune, and it's just not working. There is no cure. And she goes, tell me it's true. Tell me you're not lying. Like, tell me, and I will believe you. And then he doubles down. He's like, it's true.
Yeah.
That's what happened. And then they go on their merry way. But then after they talk about, I think his name was Eddie, her husband, the therapist's husband.
Eugene?
Yeah. They talk about how he was bit and Joel had to put him down.
Yeah. I don't think they exactly said he was bit, though.
Well, I remember they said that Joel had to put him down.
Yeah.
And so I can only assume that he was bit. Or whatever.
Pretty sure he was bit.
Yeah. And so she kind of looks at the Firefly emblem, and Jesse says, well, there's nothing really you could do about it.
Yeah.
And she goes, yeah, nothing. And that very much alludes to the fact that she found out.
Oh, yeah.
And,
which, we know that.
yeah. I mean, yeah. In the game, though, she finds out. Actually, I'm not going to say that because it's still probably going to happen.
Yeah.
But I don't think in the game Joel says that there were raiders. I believe that Joel is just like, it didn't work, and then they leave. So he doesn't mention anything about them being raided or anything like that. The hospital.
I don't think he does in the show either.
Yeah, he does. I remember because I was like, oh yeah, that's very different.
I'm pretty sure he just said, yeah, they got your blood and we just left.
No, yeah, they said he said I had to get you out of there because they got raided.
Maybe that is what it was.
Yeah. And I mean, it makes more sense as a story to Ellie, because it's like, oh, well, if it just didn't work, why didn't we stay? Right?
Yeah.
Type of situation. Why didn't we stay and try and figure something out? But it makes a lot more sense for Joel to be like, no, we had to get out of there. It was a raid.
Yeah. I mean, she wasn't a nightgown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't think that that's how it went in the game, but I could be mistaken. It's been a while since I played that one. But yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, what?
So then Ellie and Jesse set up camp.
Yeah.
And then we flitch back to Joel and Dina?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, actually, Abby.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Abby's sitting out on the mountain, and she's scouting.
Yeah. And she sees these two people on a horse, and she's like, oh, it's got to be Joel. And,
well, I think because she does mention earlier on that they're going to kidnap some of the scouts and then
force them to tell him. Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what her plan was.
Yeah.
Stupid that she decided to do it alone, though. Like, What the fuck are you doing?
But if she didn't do it alone, things would have changed.
Things would have changed?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
she
100%,
slides down
yeah.
the mountain.
Yeah.
She loses her footing. And then she is found upon these weight of bodies and all this stuff.
This is my favorite part of the episode.
Yeah.
When she lands in the pile of bodies.
Yeah.
And like cordyceps bodies all over that are frozen to death.
Oh, yeah.
Because they allude to it earlier on in the episode, and they talk about how about 30 of them crawled out from underneath the other dead ones because they're using them to heat up. And so you see that, and immediately you're like, oh shit, there are so many that are alive under there, and you know it.
Yeah.
And so she sees this, and she's like immediately like worried, because I mean, why wouldn't you be? And she tries to go kind of slow, and then you see things start moving. Like the creepiest part was the one that was frozen. It starts like turning to her like a statue, and it was fucking gross.
Yeah, the way it recognizes her, I thought it was just the snow moving, but it was the cordyceps moving.
Yeah.
And it was really cool.
Yeah. And then, oh my gosh, dude. The way that the snow does move, though.
Yeah.
It like kind of like... and
Trembles.
yeah, which is very interesting to me that this is the second time they've done it with zombies coming out of the ground.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is like... And it's always a big amount. So it's very interesting that they find themselves underground quite often.
Well, it's more warm, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like, because in the game, you know, they're just kind of walking around a lot of the time in buildings and stuff.
Well, you do see the horde in the game, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, the horde's insane.
The horde is insane, dude.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
sorry, what's up?
I remember seeing a walkthrough, and you're in the woods with Tommy, I think, and just a fucking horde runs past you, and you're like, oh, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
But in the way they do it in the show, Abby fucking dead sprints down this fucking hill.
Yeah.
And she dead sprints down this hill, and she's getting chased by all of them. There's hundreds of them that are coming out.
Oh, that's so terrifying to me. Because not only are you being chased by things that don't get tired
Yeah.
and only want to kill, you are in snow. And I assume you've had to run in snow before.
Oh, it's AIDS.
It sucks, dude.
Yeah.
And like, in the show, she's so small.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, no way her lungs are going to keep up. I would have given up. I would have 100% given up. I would have pulled out whatever weapon I had and I would have popped. But that scene like invoked so much terror in me.
Yeah.
In both the game and the show. But in the show, there was something about it that just made me so much more scared.
Yeah, for sure. What is it?
It's just the fact that like
The realism of it?
I think in the game, when you're playing the game, you're kind of tunnel vision. You're like, I just got to get away from these things.
Yeah.
But in the show, you can kind of appreciate the scale a lot more, and especially because they do the wide pans.
Yep.
And you can see where they're coming out of, and it's like, oh man, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
That's a huge horde, because it's like, the reason why it's so hopeless when you see that is it's like, oh, I can't just run in a building and be safe. Because all these buildings are deteriorated, and so they would find a way in.
Yeah.
And it's like, my only form of safety is up on that lodge on the top of the mountain. And even then, I've only got like 5 people to help.
Yeah, with guns and stuff.
Yeah.
But still.
And it's like, that's terrifying. That's such a hopeless situation. I don't know how you keep pressing on, but that's the indomitable human spirit.
Yeah. I mean, when she jumps up to the wall.
Dude.
Which, I think anybody, realistically, you're dead at that point.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, nah, I can't jump 6 feet up and grab the ladder.
Yeah.
Some people
She
can.
got hops, bro.
You gotta have hops. And she's got hops. Because she, like, one leg topped up there, too.
Yeah.
Which was impressive.
Which, it makes sense, though.
Yeah.
Because she grew up with the Fireflies.
Yeah.
And she even talks about it, about how she goes into the militia
Yeah.
in Seattle. And she's been getting trained. So she's not just some girl. She is a trained, like, soldier, basically, at this point. So that probably wasn't, like, too crazy for her.
It looked pretty nuts.
Yeah.
But it was cool. Mm-hmm. And then they, the claustrophobia of her just getting fucking absolutely railed on in the fence.
Yeah, so that part, in the game and in the show, I'm going to say it again, so intense.
Yeah.
But it's like the fence kind of collapses in after the horde starts like kind of piling up on it as she's trying to go through this really tight area, and it kind of collapses on her and she has to army crawl her way through, which is another allusion to her being in an army and like being military trained.
What would you do? Just
Well, blah blah blah.
yeah.
I would just.
You gotta train to be army crawl.
Yeah, exactly. Even though I do it all the time on my own, anyways.
What?
I do it a lot of the times, especially when I'm playing with Calvin.
Oh, I thought you did. Like, I do my own military training.
Yeah.
Army crawl.
Army crawl.
Bear crawl.
Through barbed wire.
Yeah. Anyway.
No, but so as she's going through, it's a chain link fence, so they're just reaching through and like trying to grab at her, and then one breaks through. And it's so much scarier that only like one breaks through.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, now there's an opening.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
like, oh, fuck. And she breaks out finally gets out of there. The one tackles her and is like attacking her and all that. And Joel comes up and pop.
Yeah, the 1-to-1 shot from the game.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know any of this was in the game because I didn't play it. But it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Going back and looking at it.
Yeah. I mean, for watching the show, you immediately get that tense feeling of like, ah, shit, that's Joel.
Oh, yeah.
But in the game, you have no clue. You have no clue what's going on.
You have no clue that's Joel?
No, you know it's Joel, but you don't know what Abby's there for.
Oh, yeah, you don't know Abby, yeah.
You don't know who Abby is or what she's there for.
Yeah.
And so I thought they did a good job at kind of building suspense in that way.
Oh, yeah.
For that episode. But they run into a barn, and almost immediately, I thought this was so funny. It was almost immediately, Joel opens the door, lets Abby in, and Dina's like, Joel!
Yeah.
Like, and fucking Abby's like,
oh yeah. God. I mean, the way she grabs her gun and looks at him, she's like, I should just kill him.
Right.
But she didn't.
No.
Because she needed to get out of there.
She needed to get out of there, and I think it's because she just wanted to make it slow, like she said.
She did, yeah. But you mentioned this, the difference between the show and the game is that Dina was never on this run.
Yeah.
So it was supposed to be Tommy.
So the two groups that go out
Yeah.
are Tommy and Joel,
And then
and Ellie and Dina.
That makes sense, yeah.
And Ellie and Dina find the weed farm,
Yeah.
and they go in the basement and they have a little cunnilingus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's
Gotta wait for episode 3 to get to that stuff.
I guess so. I enjoyed that because you can see that their relationship goes from an awkward drunken kiss to like, oh, this is real. It wasn't just like a mistake that you made while you were drunk.
Yeah.
And I was kind of sad that they didn't include that.
Well, they still might.
I mean, yeah,
They
eventually.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to. But the whole thing with like in the game, Tommy's with Joel, and that I don't want to talk about it yet. We'll talk about it after we talk about the show.
So she recognizes this Joel. They fucking hightail it out of there, and she suggests that fuck going to Jackson because your friend's dying because Dina all of a sudden has frostbite. Mm-hmm. They're like, how about you come to my cabin up on the hill? It's super safe because all of the zombies came down the hill.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so they're going up the hill, they're following them, and then I think it was pretty cool, like over the top shot of the two hordes. Mm-hmm. And instead of like chasing Joel, one of them breaks off, and then both of them end up going to Jackson.
So I think that was really cool because they started doing the construction that they were talking about in episode 1 to expand Jackson.
Yeah.
And they go back to that abandoned house and they use pickaxe and they're breaking out that water pipe.
Yep.
Don't necessarily know why. Probably just clearing land or something like that.
Well, they're probably going to pave a road.
Pave a road, something like that. Yeah. And they break through it and they pull out the roots and they find the fungus.
Yep.
And so that's how they know that something's about to come to them. But that sends a signal to a separate horde, not the same horde that is chasing Abby and Joel and them. because you see them also come out of the ground somewhere else. And like you said, you have the the overhead shot of both the hordes kind of coming together. This horde is coming for Joel and Abby, and then this horde's like kind of already going towards Jackson. And that kind of like, once they connect, they all start kind of flowing towards Jackson, which, you know, now there's like, the horde's not following them anymore.
Yeah, which...
They're like kind of safe.
Yeah. Which,
And,
you know,
yeah.
Joel's an idiot. But...
which in the game, the horde follows them all the way to the lodge.
Yeah.
And so it makes a lot more sense to why it was a more immediate need to get inside.
Yeah, which I think one of them was activated because of the cordyceps and the water pipe. Mm-hmm. And then just so they happened to be right next to each other, the whole cordyceps intelligence took over. Mm-hmm. But it does make sense that way, because you would figure that if this water pipe fungus would be able to recognize, like, there's more people there, they'd be like, oh, we're just going to go get those people then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking, because at first I was like, wait, why would they decide to stop chasing their prey? And I was like, oh, it can probably tell that it's a whole town.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I don't necessarily know how smart they are, but I'm assuming, like, fungus is pretty smart.
Well, cordyceps is smart, yeah.
And so they, it would make sense that they would all make the decision to go that way.
Yeah. But then we kind of flash back to Jackson, and you mentioned it went all medieval, but we kind of both agreed on this. You kind of get this shot where the guy's looking with his binoculars. He thinks he sees something, and he's like, who's coming here? What is this?
Yeah.
And it's a blizzard, can't see shit. And it's just fucking hundreds of them running towards the walls.
Yeah.
And then he's like, ring the bell. And they all kind of get ready and set up their defenses and shit.
Yeah.
What?
Sorry, there's a few things. There's always that thing where a character is using binoculars to see something in the distance.
Yeah.
And they just don't believe it, so they take the binoculars down to look again without the binoculars.
Oh, yeah.
And then they put the binoculars back up. They did that like 3 times. I thought that was really funny. I also think it's really funny that the person who was actively up there on scout lookout isn't the one immediately next to the bell.
Yeah.
He has to look down, shout at them, be like, ring the bell. Like, why wouldn't he have the bell?
Which, that is pretty funny.
Yeah.
And then they set up their defenses and everything. And this is kind of where Tommy takes over big time as like the leader of the whole thing. And he's rallying up everybody sitting on the wall and getting them ready to fire and shoot when they show up. But just the cordyceps running and then stacking themselves World War Z style was fucking terrifying.
Terrifying.
That was scary, yeah.
That's like World War Z zombies, terrifying. Those things, worse.
Oh,
I
yeah.
hated that shit. Something I thought was really funny though. Tommy, he gets everyone readied, right? And he goes, Jackson, hold!
Yeah.
Instead of Jackson, hold. And I was like, oh, he's doing the hold, knock, fire,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But it's, I thought that shit was so funny. And then they all start letting loose and they go full siege mode and like letting the barrels of oil go down.
Yeah.
And shooting them.
Which is very Game of Thrones. Very much Game of Thrones, especially with the setting of the snow. When they lit it on fire, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Seeing them still run through it and shit. But the whole thing is, it's like, you know, don't make your Minecraft house out of wood.
I was gonna say that.
Because it's like, you sit there and you're like, damn, like, you just lit all these on fire, but your whole place made out of wood, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think it was damp enough that it wouldn't probably catch fire. But who knows? There's oil everywhere. And
Right. Well, and it's also like, not only is your wall getting like pounded by like hundreds of bodies on the wall, but it's also, now you've just set off like 5 explosions in a very close proximity.
Yeah.
Like, I know that's why they had the ramps to get them farther away, but it's still fairly close enough for the shockwave to have rattled the wall a little bit more.
For sure, yeah.
And damaging the structure of it.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh shit, what's gonna happen here? And not what I thought.
Which, then they're fighting or whatever, and then this is where the shift for me happens of being like, this thing's like super scary, is when all of them start to break off and run to a different side of the wall that's not on fire, and you see a fucking bloater and you just bust that shit down.
Yeah, that shit's terrifying. Bloaters in the movie, or sorry, in the show, terrifying.
Oh yeah.
The game, they're scary, I think I would say they're objectively more scary in the game because you're kind of actively in the scene and you're like, I've watched myself die to those things so many times. But
I mean, as long as you don't die.
yeah. Well, there's also this other feeling when you're playing the game of like invincibility, you know? Oh, if I die, then I'm just going to respawn, try again. So that's what makes it a little less scary sometimes, but...
I mean, if you're playing on easy mode...
Yeah.
If you're playing on hard, you're like, I have to do this shit again?
Yeah, that's when it gets more annoying. You're like, fuck.
Yeah.
But in the show, you know, any of them die, they're dead, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
And so the bloater breaks through, and they all line up their forces. Tommy runs off the wall, and he goes and stands on the front lines with the blowtorches.
Yeah.
Which the suit-up scene for that was pretty cool, because they throw him on, and they turn him on, and all that stuff. And so he's got like 2 to 3 other people standing beside him, ready at the torch. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, the bloater comes through, and you see all the horde of zombies, and like everyone else around Tommy just like, nah, fuck that shit, I'm out. And they ran.
Kind of confused me, because first off, Tommy was doing a great job of being like, all right, I'm on the wall. Mm-hmm. Now I'm on the street. Now I'm doing everybody's job. Mm-hmm. But it confused me because they kind of did have a great plan for what would happen. Like, they set up a kill box in the center of town, and it would have 100% worked if those 2 guys just didn't run away.
Yeah. And I was really, honestly, looking forward to seeing all those flamethrowers going on.
Yeah, that would have been sick.
And just like, I mean, the amount of zombies they would have been able to take out if they just used their flamethrowers on them.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the only reason you don't get to see the flamethrowers used on any small zombie is because Tommy has to use it all on the fucking bloater.
Well, he gets cornered, I think, right? Mm-hmm. And he goes after the bloater.
Because his wife is up on the roof and she's shooting at it.
Yeah.
And then it turns and starts going towards her, and so he starts shooting at it to make it turn towards him. He's pulling aggro.
Yeah, then he kind of gets boxed in, which you figured he would have known that this was like an area of that.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Because he's like, ugh, fuck, there's boxes here. I can't get out. Like,
fuck, I did this.
Yeah.
Like,
Idiot.
bro, you suggested this, didn't you?
Yeah. And then he guns down the bloater with the flamethrower, which was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. But my favorite part is right after that, which is when his wife releases the dogs.
Oh, yeah.
That shit was insane.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
I was honestly, I was kind of sad.
I was really sad.
Because I was like, not the dogs.
Yeah,
but I mean, I'd rather dogs than humans, but
they
like...
fucked them up, though.
They did, dude.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing in the games, the dogs are terrifying.
Yeah.
And so it's like... It's just... I'm excited to see what they do with the dogs in the show. Because the dogs were a pretty pivotal point in the game.
For part 2?
Yeah. But not in Jackson.
Yeah, they probably need them for finding somebody.
Yeah. But it's so fun the way that they all just kind of like, it was like a little horde of dogs, you know, and they start running out. And
which it was brutal. Like, I couldn't imagine being on the street there.
I'd be terrified.
Yeah.
I'd be absolutely terrified.
But in the end, they win the conflict. But then kind of meanwhile with this fight, we kind of go back to Joel's perspective, and he looks down, and he's constantly looking at Jackson as they get up to this house, and then they get into the house.
He's always radioing them, too. He's trying to get a hold of them. Yeah.
Gets into the house. He doesn't recognize it because he's concerned about his house. You know, Jackson not being destroyed.
Yeah, you can see the smoke piling up from the oil barrels.
Yeah. But everywhere in the cabin is fire flag gear everywhere.
Yeah.
And fucking Dina recognizes it because she sees it. But then Abby's kind of being a fucking bitch. And she's like, yeah, what'd you say your name was again? You're Dina, and you're what? Mm-hmm. Oh, that's Joel. And then there's a moment where everyone in the room starts looking at him different. Yeah,
she does it so, like, slowly, too. Because she's hanging out with everyone. She's like, yeah, this is Dina. They saved me. And then, you know, like, this man over here, you know, this tall, kind of handsome-looking old man about in his 60s. Yeah, that's Joel.
Yeah.
And everyone's like... Everyone's like, plot device, what?
I thought his name was Joe. You sure?
Joe.
Yeah.
But I do remember there's a scene where I think it was Dina. She picks up the Firefly stuff, and she's like, "Oh, you guys were Fireflies?" Or, "Oh, you guys are Fireflies?" And no, I think Joel points it out.
No.
Joel, because she's talking to Joel, and she's like, "Oh, we used to be."
Well, no.
Didn't you hear that the Fireflies disbanded?
No, because he asked if they were raiders,
Oh yeah,
and she was like, "Do we look like raiders?"
yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, and that was after.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll let you continue on with that part.
Oh,
I cut you off. Sorry.
Yeah, I guess you didn't cut me off. You kind of added to it. He asked if they were raiders. She was like, "No." Guess, and he's like, "Military?" And she's like, "Yeah." And she mentions the militia, and then he's like, "Fireflies." And then Abby asks him the question, "When was the last time you seen the Fireflies?" And Joel was like, "Straight up,
Yeah.
Salt Lake City."
Yep.
And it's really sad,
Yeah.
because what happens next sucks.
Yeah. So this is the scene that I wanted to talk about, comparing it to the game, because after Joel admits that it's Salt Lake, that's when was the last time he saw the Fireflies. They all know. They already knew, and they put Dina to sleep with like a syringe of some insanely fast acting sleep fluid.
Yeah, that actually makes sense.
I mean, but the second it hit her vein, she's like,
Yeah, it makes sense.
But so she goes to sleep, and Abby pulls out a shotgun and shoots him in the leg.
Yeah.
And oh my god, that scene was pretty brutal in the show.
Yeah.
But it was even worse in the game because it wasn't Dina that was there with Joel, it was Tommy. And so once Tommy sees that Joel just got shot in the legs by a shotgun, Tommy runs after them to try and stop them, and they shoot Tommy in the leg.
Yeah.
And then they force Tommy to like sit there and watch. They don't put him to sleep.
Yeah.
And so, Abby goes on her little villain monologue and kind of runs him through all the things that, he did. And conveniently, Dina was asleep the whole time. So Dina didn't get to hear all this stuff.
Well, that's what needed to happen for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
I do agree with the sleep aid thing, but I just find it weird that they didn't have Tommy there, but I guess they needed Tommy and Jackson. So.
And don't get me wrong, like, I think that the whole Jackson thing, fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was 100%, like, better than how it went in the game.
Yeah.
Because it only would make sense that the Horde would find the bigger group of people.
Well, it also just sets up stakes.
Yeah.
Know? Like, Abby also just happened to find a weapon that could destroy Jackson accidentally.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is crazy. But, yeah. I mean, I get what you mean with that. But sometimes you can't have both.
No, yeah. I get you. But
yeah. Then also Ellie and Jesse, right?
Yep.
Jesse, they're on their way to the cabin.
Yeah.
Don't know how they know where that is, but
I don't know either. I think they know the path that Joel and Dina were on.
Oh yeah, they start following their tracks.
And they follow the tracks.
That's right.
However, they split. Ellie and Jesse. Jesse goes to a mine or something like that to find another place for shelter.
Yeah.
Because Ellie needs to go out and find Joel to help bring him back to shelter. And so she goes out and finds the tracks, follows the tracks up to where it is. This scene in the game, also heartbreaking, because you have to sneak into the house and all that, and that's exactly what she does, or the resort. And so she sneaks into the lodge, and she can hear what's going on upstairs, just a lot of banging. Now, cut back to Joel and Abby's conversation. Abby's like, "Oh, I've been waiting so long for this." And Joel cuts her off. He's like, "Shut the fuck up and get it over with already."
Which, great line.
Yeah.
Very Joel.
You can very much tell he's also like kind of done, He's like, "This is it."
To be fair, if I was 58 years old and I just got buckshot to my knee, I would not be like the guy from Skyrim. I would not be like, I was a hero like you once. I'd just fucking quit.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
You're not walking again.
Yeah, and then This is also pretty 1-for-1 with the game.
Yeah.
Where she comes up with a golf club, and after he tells her to shut the fuck up and get it over with, and she goes, "You do not get to rush this old man," or something like that.
Yeah, that's exactly what she
And
does,
she
something
takes
like
the golf club and she slams it into the gunshot wound on his leg. Fucking brutal. But, Joel screams out in pain. And then that's when you come back to Ellie as she's sneaking through the house, and you hear the pounding and the beating in the room above. She comes up the stairs. She runs in the room after seeing what's happening to Joel, and everyone tries to tackle her. She cuts some guy in the face.
Well,
and
she shoots her gun first.
Yeah.
And then the guy deflects it as she's shooting.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know about you, but if I was Ellie in that situation, I would feel hella guilty.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're like, why don't I just do better?
Right.
Skill issue.
It's that survivor guilt.
Oh, yeah.
Thing, yeah.
I mean, you have the gun. They don't know you're there.
Yeah.
You could have easily made this better for yourself.
Especially considering all the stuff that she went through with Joel and like learning how to be sneaky.
Yeah.
And how to like scope out situations.
Yeah.
But then again, it also tracks with her character because she's that loose cannon that also ran into that building that had whoever knows how many zombies in it.
Yeah.
Right? And so she runs in and, ultimately fires off a shot, gets blocked, starts getting attacked, and she pulls out a knife, cuts the guy in the face, thrown to the ground.
Yeah.
All that's pretty 1-to-1 with the game.
Yeah.
And she's on the ground facing Joel. This is probably the worst part, is that she has to watch it.
I think the worst part is her saying, "Get up."
Yeah.
And then he starts to get up.
Oh, I didn't even notice he started getting up.
Yeah, he does.
Damn, that's
Which
really heartbreaking.
It was
I don't want to
really
think
sad.
about that.
It was really sad. And kind of everyone in the room is like, hey, just get this over with. Like,
Yeah.
stop leading this along.
Yeah.
And you had a complaint about this because you didn't get to see Pedro Pascal get absolutely smashed in the face with a golf club.
It wasn't necessarily a complaint. It's just that it wasn't as brutal.
Yeah.
In the game, Joel gets like literally beaten to death, and like he gets hit by a blunt golf club, and like that's his death. And then Ellie gets knocked out.
You know how many fucking golf clubs you'll go through
Yeah.
before you'll actually be able to like kill someone with it?
Probably quite a bit.
Yeah. Because it was snapped in half.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
because in the show it's snapped in half, and there's a sharp end. And
His face is also fucked.
His face is fucked. He did get beaten pretty hard with that golf club.
Yeah.
But so in the game,
Yeah.
so you said in the show he tries to get up.
Yeah.
I don't remember if that happens in the game or not, but I know that in the game he looks at her and he says, "Don't watch, Ellie. Turn away."
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. And
Well, he's not as fucked up in the game at that point.
yeah. And then in the show, Abby takes the golf club, sharp point in, stabs in the back of his neck.
Yeah, as he's trying to get up.
Yeah.
Which is fucked.
Well, and you hear it too, and you hear that death moan.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking god awful.
It was bad.
Yeah, and everything goes deafened and everything like that.
I'm really glad they didn't go full Glenn.
Oh,
I don't think I would have been able to handle it.
Yeah, that would have been. Pretty
But yeah, we do got to wrap it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But that was sad. The one thing that pissed me off about this entire encounter is that Abby doesn't know who Ellie actually is.
yeah. In fact,
Fucking drives me nuts.
Ellie is a myth to them.
Yeah.
Because they talk about it outside the hospital, about how, and apparently he was with some girl, and then some other lady is like, "That's not true." And they're like, "What? What's not true?" And there's just some rumor going around about her, and it's not true. She is not.
Yeah.
Like, they don't believe that she is immune.
Which
Because it's not possible, is what they say.
I think instead of just killing Joel, Abby would probably be like, why did you do it? Mm-hmm. And then Joel maybe explained himself. Things could have been a lot different.
Yeah.
But that pissed me off. But Ellie's reaction was intense because that's her dad dying.
Yeah.
And she's been a fucking dickhead to him for the last couple years.
And the worst part is she was about to reconcile. She wanted to go out on a run with him.
Which was really sad.
Very sad.
That is the worst. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking forward to what happens next. Nothing really else happens in the episode besides they start going back to Jackson with Joel's body.
Oh,
And,
fuck. That part was so sad as well because Jesse met up with them.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. She crawls over to Joel's body and lays with him.
Yeah.
Fucking depressing, man.
I was kind of expecting a bait and switch.
Like what, Dina dies?
Just something, because, like, you see Ellie and Jesse together following the trail.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe Jesse's going to be able to do something.
Oh, yeah.
But
yeah.
nah.
Nah. He doesn't do shit.
They had to do it. I understand why they had to do it. Pedro Pascal's pretty good about it. I would say I'd give the episode a 9 out of 10.
That episode, I'd have to give it a 9 out of 10 as well.
Yeah.
And the only reason it's not a 10 is because the horde breaks off. Like
The one thing, yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
so genuinely, they have 2 hordes.
Yes.
So they could have had that immediate threat of the horde running Joel and Abby into the lodge. Like
Yeah.
there's literally no other choice. And then the other horde going down there. And maybe once they're in the lodge, then that horde breaks off and goes. Or maybe it's slow and like there's still like a few stragglers chasing after them.
Well, I think in the game, the horde seemed a lot bigger.
Yeah.
So, because I don't think they were hiding in the ice, right?
I don't necessarily remember how it goes in the game.
But I remember seeing it, and it looks like more.
Yeah.
But there's a lot in the show as well. I could agree with that. I would say I have to give it a 9 out of 10 because I already knew what was going to happen. Not exactly. I think the first half of the episode was fucking amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
Which, if we get more of that, which we're going to get some action like that later on, shit gets nuts. I'm looking forward to that. But I didn't like the cabin scene as much. Because as much as I didn't want to see Pedro Pascal get absolutely his skull bashed in,
Yeah.
I don't want to do. But I was watching it with my girlfriend, and she cried, and then it made me even more sad. And I think the payoff was well, but there's just some things I just don't like about it. It should be a 10 out of 10.
There is another thing that happens in the game I forgot to bring up with Dina and Ellie in the basement of the weed house at the 7-Eleven. Before they get freaky, Ellie shows the bite, right? Because at this point, she chemically burns her arm to cover the bite, and she like calls it, oh, it was just a mistake, like I messed up. But Ellie tells Dina about the bite, and is like, yeah, I'm immune, because they're playing like a game of truth or dare or something like that. And she's like, I'm immune, and I was bit, and I never turned.
Yeah.
And Dina goes, yeah, fucking right. It's supposed to be truth, and like doesn't believe her.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and then they move on. And it's so funny.
Thing is, who would believe you?
No one, dude.
Yeah.
No one. Oh, sorry. I know we're gonna wrap it up, but Ellie gets bit again
Yeah.
by the stalker, and you
Yeah.
see the fungus in her, and it's so disgusting.
It is really gross.
Yeah.
But
But
you know,
anyways,
if you're Ellie, you're kind of just a tank.
yeah. Well, and she also she has to cut it.
Yeah.
You remember that she cuts the bite so it looks like just a regular scratch.
There was a lot of things we missed from the first episode.
Yeah.
But
we don't really have a whole bunch of time, so we kind of
we have to go. We have to go watch the movie.
run through.
But yeah, that's our kind of review. We'll probably pick up with a schedule and how to do it later on. I don't think we'll do it week to week. We'll probably do it we'll figure it out. But bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Look forward to our upcoming review on Sinners.